Want to watch the music videos as we review them? Head to vimeo.com/headfulofradio. The video reviews will be released in sync with the podcast.
Welcome to Head Full of Radio, where a longtime Radiohead fan goes through the whole recorded discography alongside his friend, who's only familiar with the song Creep. Will we agree on the songs? Can I convert him into a fan? Let's find out.
Welcome back to Head Full of Radio, or welcome to Head Full of Radio. You're starting at episode 101. We are watching the video for Lucky today with Nico. Hi.
Not the Forever.
Hi.
That's happy.
Right.
Completely different song. Never mind. Ignore
I
it.
was losing my mind when I was listening back to that. I was like, no.
Yeah.
That's happy.
And Chase there, who knows now it's happy, not lucky.
To be fair, 5-letter words that end in Y.
That's a good point. And I guess Chase, I sent Nico a copy of, because the episodes before that we edited him in, he's heard them, and he was very upset that when you were saying Lucky, he was like, no, it's happy, but you and I couldn't hear him because he wasn't there, so it sounds great. Sounds great.
You know what? It'd be like that sometimes.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of the history of Lucky. Nico and I talked about it when we did OK Computer. So this was first released on the Help album, a 1995 charity compilation organized by Charity War Child. This song was recorded in 5 hours with their producer. They included it on OK Computer as a last minute thing because they thought it went really well with the rest of the album. And the War Child effort was done by Brian Eno, who's done lots of things. But it was specifically for the Bosnian War, to raise money for it. And this song was the most popular song. Radiohead likes to think at this point it was their best song. Tom said this song shaped the sound and mood of OK Computer. He said it was indicative of what they wanted to do. It was the first mark on the wall. So to promote the album for the War Child effort, this was featured as the lead track, but BBC Radio chose not to play it because they thought it was not suitable for their audience. Yeah. So that's fun, right?
I hate censorship in that way, but it is what it is.
Yeah, so we are going to jump in right now to the Lucky video. Are you both ready?
I am ready.
I am going to find this really jarring because all I can imagine is Lucky by Britney Spears. So I'm sure that's not what this is going to sound like.
It would be great if I had started that song without you even realizing it and then having a flow into Happy.
That would be quite something.
I'm sorry that this is going to depress you.
Oh, okay, yeah. So not the vibe of Britney Spears.
Yeah, here we go. Here's Lucky. 3, 2, 1. Edit this in. And go!
Yeah, this is definitely not the vibe of Britney Spears.
No.
Oh dear, you weren't lying. This is depressing.
Yeah.
What year did this come out? Do we know?
December 1997.
So I'm trying to figure out what conflict this is depicting based on
the album was released in 1995.
Okay.
It was for to raise funds for war-stricken areas such as Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Okay.
I haven't seen Tom that pale in forever.
Yeah. Yeah, well, at 1995. So, Nico, this is during the Bends when they wrote this.
Which I need to remind myself does not mean the shits.
Yes. So when this came out, the album's recording concept was it should be recorded and released as soon as possible. So every person who sent a song in for this, it was recorded on Monday, September 4th, 1995, mixed on Tuesday, and was in stores on Saturday.
Wow. Yeah, this song makes me, or like the video I should say, it's like making me feel like guilty and like uncomfortable.
And it's doing, and that's what I think the job is. So it's doing a good job.
It's just like almost a song where I don't even feel like I should talk, if that makes any sense at all.
Like one of those like minute silences or something where you're just supposed to be respectful.
Like, exactly.
It's got so many things going on. Like the information, the song, the recording of the album, all this like difficult images set to like the perfect song, I think.
I think the thing that is like, depressing to me is the fact that, a lot of the images and struggles that are being talked about here are like very similar struggles and things that are, happening today as well.
Right.
20 plus years later, it feels like no real progress has been made across the board when it comes to, issues like this.
Yeah, when we talked about it before, Nico was saying I didn't even know there was like a Bosnian war. But then again, how old would you have been in 1995?
Depending on when it was, anywhere from like a month old to like 11 months old.
Right. So it would have been out of your like idea. You wouldn't have, this was not around the time where you would have been like, oh, let's talk news.
Right.
I was not alive in 1995, so this is before my age.
Right. And to make me sound a little older, I was 16. So, so that's the music video for Lucky. Again, it was the most popular song on the album, or at least, there was a lot of weird stuff on that album. If you look at the track list, it's kind of all over the place with really interesting bands, some fantastic songs, but this was the standout track. And I think actually ended up in the charts at some point because of the War Child effort, and then again when OK Computer came out 2 years later. Thoughts?
I mean, it's like similar thoughts that I had originally, which is just I don't know. It feels like we've been dealing with struggles similar to this for a while. And there's like, at least from my perspective, a sense of frustration, where it's like very admirable that like this is something that they're talking about and they're trying to get more information around and, you know, make it an issue that it sorry needs to be an issue around. But it's like you see things like that, and then you see I don't know, you see things today where it just feels like we're
The same
fighting this
stuff
like
is happening.
futile battle where it just doesn't, you know,
Right.
I don't know.
And it's interesting to think that, like you mentioned while we were listening to it, that it could still potentially have the same effect now. Like
Yeah,
this
100%.
video could go back into rotation, not only because I feel like Radiohead's had a renaissance, actually, from what I hear on TikTok, they're like a big thing. But it could potentially I don't know if you guys know there's a song called Runaway Train by Soul Asylum.
Yep.
And Nico, if you're not familiar, it had a lot of pictures of missing children.
Right.
And what they did, what would be interesting if Radiohead did this is back then, whenever that video helped many kids be found, and some kids who didn't even know that they were the missing ones.
Gosh.
So what they would do is they would update the missing persons pictures in the video to other kids who were still missing. And
Oh wow.
The unfortunate thing about that is, about this, is you could do that with this video and put really what's happening in Ukraine or in dozens of other places, and it would still have the same effect.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, when I excuse me, sorry,
I'll edit that part out. Don't worry.
You're good. But for me, when I do this, I just like think a lot of like similar imagery coming out of Gaza. You know, you see a lot of Palestinian children facing very similar circumstances where they're just kind of being terrorized, you know, and you know, obviously there's the obligation from our side to like get aid out and do what we can, but then, you know, underneath all of that, there's like this feeling of just hopelessness where it's like,
and the song helps you feel that hopelessness too.
Yes,
it's got that weird, sad emotion to it, like that's big enough for you to go, oh, I can feel this.
Yeah. Because, you know, it's like I think about how we can, you know, try to get aid out and donations and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, there has to be a structural change for any of that to matter, sort of say.
Right.
And that's kind of like the energy that I'm grappling with at the moment.
Well, Nico's been very silent, so I'm going to turn over to him and say, what would you give this video for a score? I'm going to give
It's really tricky because obviously it's like quite political, so it feels weird like critiquing it as art in a sense.
Yeah.
Like I agree with what Chase was saying about like there's that sense of like frustration, but like also like futility in a way, which like is like sad in and of itself, because it's like you probably want a video like this to be a kind of like call to action in a sense, but I feel like it just makes you feel like, at least for me, like just kind of was like a sinking feeling of kind of like I don't know, like, which isn't very helpful.
No, I actually think not scoring this for that is a really interesting potential idea. Just to talk about it and have it exist on its own might not be the worst idea, as long as, if we come to an agreement on that, we don't have to score this one.
Yeah, I'd be very comfortable with that if that's how we happen to do it. Yeah,
I would agree. It's almost a thing where it's like there are some things that just don't, I don't want to say deserve isn't the right word, but don't merit being scored on anything, because it's like almost bigger than,
Yes.
for lack of a better word, entertainment value. It's like the message is so far detracted from what we think of it from an entertainment perspective that it's like not worth going through the process of scoring it. So I do think it is at the very, least worth, once again talking about how there's just a lot of the similar feelings, and there has to be some change somewhere along the line. I don't necessarily know how that change happens, because to the points that you both brought up, it's just like this is something that you could place in pretty much any time period from recorded human history onwards, and it would ring true, which is a depressing thought.
Yeah. Would you mind if I share something that's a little less depressing?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
By all means, yeah.
Please.
Okay. I'm going to pick on Nico a bit. Is that okay with you, Chase and Nico?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how
I don't know.
to that after the fact. Yeah. Not making any promises just yet.
Lucky at least has one funny thing about it, and that is that it is the episode that Nico says like the most.
Oh no.
And he's continued it on in this episode, which I think is kind of a
no.
Have you been keeping like a score in the background this whole time?
No. It's I edit these into TikToks, and I did some for Lucky a while ago and posted one recently, and I sent it to him and went, "Oh boy, are you okay?" Because I think every second word was like. And the unfortunate thing about TikTok is it gives you the subtitles, right? So
it's in your face just how much. Like, in case you didn't hear it, it's like here, witness.
But that's your thing, calamity. And it's endearing.
That is great. I do like that a lot, actually.
So we will, in the best interests of this episode, this will be our first one that does not have a score, since Nico was making up what Pablo Honey was about, which was a long time ago. So congratulations to all three of us. Thank you both for maneuvering through this with me. Unfortunately, the next video isn't going to be that much happier.
Right.
So we'll see you in a few weeks.
Sounds good. Catch you then.
This podcast is recorded on Discord and is edited in GarageBand. The intro and outro music are Radiohead covers and can be found on Spotify under the band Lift. That's Lifte, with F as in Foxtrot. Also, find us on TikTok and Vimeo under the name @Headful of Radio.